Hello, hello, hello. Happy Quad Witching Friday. How is everyone doing today? Good morning, John. Thank you for putting in the earnings. Sterling, yeah, FedEx was a beat miss, but up on that. A miss on revenue, which is a more critical one. I did not see, I was really busy yesterday. I did not see their guidance. I still need to get back in and research that. Good morning, Patrick. Happy Friday to you. Good morning, Sterling. There was Nike, was a beat, but down, gapping down. Now, if we talked about watching, it's doing the consistent thing. The consistent thing, we had the PCE numbers come out, but first we have to say hi to McRangers. We'll get to the PCE numbers in a second. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, Royal Palms. Agreed. Wishing everyone peace and should that be prosperity? And you are welcome. Thank you for thanking me, Royal Palms. I'm trying to be consistent. By the way, I said next Tuesday I was not going to do Christmas Eve. I will do a live stream because we got durable goods coming out. It's going to just be a quick one. So if you want to tune in on Christmas Eve, it's just going to be a quick live stream. Then there'll be no one on Christmas Day, and then the day after Christmas, it's back to normal. I do not like when Christmas is on a Wednesday. Ugh. So let's have a shutdown. Nothing's really going to change. Good morning, Richard. Uh, Good morning, Eric. Sorry, some buffering issues. Let me just check my internet. Everything looks good. It says it's got good speed on it. If there's problems, let me know. I'm just looking at all my different little settings. What's Williams think? Higher productivity rate may have lifted neutral rate a bit. They don't know what the neutral. They're just guessing. Oh boy. Huh. Froze. That's weird. All right, audio issues. Huh. That is very strange. I can't switch that now. Let me just look over here. Let me just take a look at a couple things. Don't know why it would be cutting out. I'll have to try to do an update. We'll have to try to get through this and make sure it goes as smoothly as possible. Good morning, Anissa. So, let's see. We had the PCE numbers coming out. They're still rising, but coming in better than expected. Prior was 0.3. The consensus was 0.2. Is coming in at 0.1. Personal income coming in lower than expected, down from previous from 0.7 to 0.3 and below consensus. Personal spending up a little, but down from consensus. The core PC year over year is still running 2.8%, in line with previous, better than consensus, but still 2.8%. And the PCE headline number year over year is expected to come in at 2.5, coming in 2.4, but still up from 2.3. All right, maybe it was just a glitch there for a bit. Sorry again. Sorry about that. I'll double check my settings after this live stream. So that's where we sit there. The heat map, let's just, Broadcom's bouncing, the market saved. By the way, remember, this is a major OPEX. December futures are expiring for the financial futures. This is one of my 4 least favorite trading days of the year because there could be whipsaw moves. So I'd recommend only sticking to really solid setups you have. And if you don't need to trade, don't force anything today. Lily, 666. There we go. What's going on with Lily? Sterling, do you have any news on Lily? All your mega caps are still down. Nike's theirs from their earnings yesterday down 4.47. So FedEx, that's from there to up 8%. Did they issue a decent guidance? Groups today, let's just refresh. Real estate's the only thing is up today. So Fed Watch, we don't really need to worry about that yet, but it's still 90% priced in for a pause. And we finally dropped to extreme fear mode. So we've gone from greed to fear, and the Brett still really stinks in this. And with this drop, the Schiller PE is only back to 7:35. All right. Hello, Charles. Where do we, oh, I was just looking at this because here's the 10-year 3-month spread. Look at this takeoff. This is taken off, and that generally puts a lot of pressure downward on the market historically. And there's the 10-2 getting to that peak area back from September and almost to the final target. And these are, again, I updated to the Fred numbers. The St. Louis Fed numbers, Fred, if you don't know. Okay, so as Patrick said yesterday, right to the 4-hour rotation zone, rotating down and running down, taking out the key low from Wednesday I talked about. I did the projections on this. Since we did have a pausing bar, this is technically as a pausing bar, didn't need to close green because it didn't touch this low. We could do the projections back from the high on the 6 to that low, and it just bounced off the next harmonic. If we take out those lows today, the next we have a harmonic cluster at 5836 area. So that's a very key area to watch for. And slightly below that, we have a major support level, which is right in this area, was the prior highs from July, the highs from August, then that were retested and held as lows in October and November. So that is really key if we then come down to test those areas. So keep that. What is going on with Lilly? Lilly stock rose 9%, following Novo Nordisk obesity drug missing weight loss targets. Oh. Everything's getting piled into though. That's the problem. Wow. So Novo getting hammered and everybody else rotating in the Lilly. Fantastic. So that's where I came. Those are those targets are. And still, if you're watching for a bounce, the very key area to watch for today, if it does bounce with OPEX, is really about this 59.27 to about 59.33 area, 59.34 on any bounce play. That's where I would be focusing. Based off just the March contract, again, just clean this up a little. That's from yesterday. Just based off the March contract, also did the projections down, which gave me 58.7250 on the March contract, and we got down to 58.66. So just below that, and then the bounce there. Same thing if you're looking at just the March, you're roughly at this 59.25 to that 59.35 area, virtually the same area. So NASDAQ did the projection here. You can see here, pausing bar gave a full pausing bar projection of about this 21,026, and we came down to 21,006. So just below that, you can see it on the 4-hour and bouncing there. Let's just take a look at these numbers on the March. The very key resistance area to watch for is 21.3 to about 21.350. If we do take out the lows, pay attention. We got that magnet price at the 87.5 of 20,866. That does not have to be taken out today, but that's still a magnet price based off of the 4-hour close, and it's only based off the 4-hour close at this point, not the daily close. So we're going to have to watch today where that closes. The Dow just, again, coming into a very key support area. If this area breaks 42,400, it's a pretty quick trip down to 62.5, not just for today. So really pay attention to that area if you're trading the Dow, because we got the simple 200 and the 62.5 harmonic. The Russell hitting the first target in the double, and the 200 would not be surprised to possibly see a bounce here with oversold conditions, but we'll be looking for rollover plays then because we still have lower price action there. Today, this is another one. Pay attention to about 22.50. 2250 is what I would look at. The VIX, a little more elevated from yesterday with the continuing sell-off, but nowhere near the highs from Wednesday. The DAX, closing yesterday below the rotation zone, now taking out the 50. Again, the DAX, and might be trying to break down below this key support level. So really pay attention to where the DAX closes and roughly versus 20K. Getting a little bounce here after, remember, notes got severely oversold and the PCE numbers still climbing but coming in better than expected. So not surprising to see the notes bounce. But your very key resistance area in the notes is coming in right about 109.16. So I'm going to be watching for some follow through next week. The yields pulling back after coming up and just missing the next harmonic. So technically, the double, I mean, this missed by I think it came up to 4.59 and the harmonic was 4.954. So the double is still technically in play, but I doubt that'll ever trigger. I'm just watching this pullback into this key support area with the rising rotation zone coming about 4.45. What else? What else do we have? The dollar index getting a little pause here. Very overbought. Cycles at the top. So major support is 107.25 in there, but still expecting this to probably at some point next week retest the 62.5 harmonic and the next harmonic projection that's 108.75. So I'm still watching for pullback opportunities, pullback setups. Crude, there's nothing going on. We broke below yesterday. We tried to rally up, and so the buying pressure has turned into selling pressure. But again, there's just not any good setups right now. I don't know why those moved. There's not any good setups. The only thing I'll be keying off of if we do close back below about 68.23. What's the exact number? Make sure this is locked in. 68.23. Natty gas. This is another one to watch now. Broke out yesterday with the highest close since back in beginning of October and trying to move up. And I did the little reverse harmonic projection. So I'm going to be watching 377.9 and 391.2. And it's into still a clear path move with the breakdown zone. Here's the prior breakdown zone, just right around that harmonic. And then you have the end of the clear path move right here, just above that harmonic. So those are the areas I'm watching for natty gas with. Gold. Keep an eye on this because gold's got daily cycles at the bottom, trying to trade off some pretty key support. Now we're still in a longer-term correction, but we could get the bounce mode, and there is a little mini 4-hour double bottom. So it still needs to follow through with at least a 4-hour close above 2641. 2640.9, so 2641. Keep in mind, it is against the breaking down rotation zone, so that stops would have to be managed accordingly. But that could be for a potential bounce play in gold. Or if you've already taken another kind of setup and you're already long, that could be for continuing to manage slightly higher targets. What else do we have? We have the yen pulling back nicely to the daily rotation zone, the 4-hour rotation zone and the prior breakout level. So I'll be watching for, even if it drops back to about 155.50, watching for rotation setups back up. Euro with a little dollar weakness today, trying to put in a short-term bottom. But again, on any rallies in the daily rotation zone, I'll be watching for rollover plays. And this became way too sloppy for a double, by the way. Spiders. The key things, if we do break down, we're going to gap lower, but 582.99 would be a nice little resistance because we're going to gap below that. That could be a nice little target on the way up. And then it would be to the gap fill yesterday of 586.10. If it continues lower and rolls over, 580.10 is key. And then you still have a gap from the 5th to the 6th, the election results. So that's going to be a longer term magnet on continued rollover plays. 576.70. Do not ignore that level right here. The Qs, little projections lower, and I had to do this off the 4 hour. You see here, got this bar did not touch that low, so that was a 4 hour pausing bar. If it does break down and takes out yesterday's 4 hour lows of 513.84, 511.99, then 508.98. So 512 and 509. And you do have a gap left behind right here. So keep that in mind too. Bitcoin pulling back, closing below the rotation zone now. So daily's turned into neutral mode, and we're testing the weekly rotation zone. So we're getting first a primary pullback. So in the good old Bitcoin, we're going to start watching for a secondary reaction. We still have daily cycles heading down. So I'm going to be watching on any bounce, how strong that bounce is and what kind of setups it makes. In order to get back in short term, more bullish mode, it would have to get back above 102.300. All right. What else? We got Tesla also returning to the daily rotation zone. So I'll be watching again for any kind of rotation up over the next few days to see if we set up a more significant topping pattern. Will I run down ES once more? Sure. Because of audio issues. Again, key levels. We already came off the harmonic projection. 58.72. We spiked just below it coming on up. I'm paying attention on any rally. Very key resistance. 59.25 to 59.35 is a key resistance area today, especially with quad witching. We roll over and take out these lows of 58.66. The next key area is 58.38. Yeah, even though cocoa's not in here, you had to bring up cocoa, didn't you, Sterling? Can we take a peek inside Apple? Did I miss any other stocks? Also, from a DeMark setup, Apple's setting up potential major sell signals on daily and weekly time frames. I think the daily ones were confirmed. And by the way, with Apple, so we could be seeing a longer term potential top in Apple. Right now, it's rallied up to the 62.5 and rolling down. So it did not get to double territory, but if this starts breaking down, if Apple starts breaking down below 246, next target lower for me is about 242. And then not only is that a very key support shelf, but it's also the 50 EMA. See right here, we break through there. We could easily, over the next month or so, see a return to potentially with the 200 SMA. Thank you for tuning in. The great what is that? Bino? The great Ken Bino usually does the opposite. That's what I'm going to be watching for at least. But although we're in OpX today, so we're going to get some interesting plays, and OpX days are generally choppier. Generally. Not guaranteed. Not based off the last couple days of price action that we've had. What else do you want? Silver and copper. Silver is triggering a lopsided double right now. Sorry, I skipped that one. Close above 29.595. It's already moving through there on any breakout plays, and that has, remember, it's against the 4-hour rotation zone, that has the intermediate targets of 29.80, about 29.90, and then 29.99. So those are the key targets. It has to still follow through with a close above that 29.59.5. Yes, it's quad witching day. We have options expiration too. That's why it's quad witching. It was technically reverted to triple witching, but we still call it quad witching. But yes, because you have futures expiration, options expiration. So copper does not have any great setup on the books right now. From a short-term perspective, you are trading against a very strong resistance level. A very strong resistance level. So if this rolls down next week, I'm still watching out for rollover plays. We finished a couple of the things to the upside. We had the double top that played out. Now I'm watching for rollover plays in coppers. So that's usually bullish or what? Quad witching? It's generally choppier. So, but I'm not putting any stake in this today because we've already had these last 2 days. Going to be watching for. I'm going to still be watching for rollover plays from the 4-hour rotation zone. So on any bounces like yesterday, we've rolled up to the 8 EMA and rolled back down. So on any continued bounce up, I'll be watching for rollover plays, but it might not turn into a trend day. And by the way, remember, you have consumer sentiment and inflation expectations coming out at 10 a.m. Eastern. So do not ignore that, because consumer sentiment might still be bouncing, but inflation expectations, consensus is for this to bounce substantially. Now, if it doesn't bounce substantially, that could fuel a slightly more bullish move. But if you see here that at least the short-term inflation expectations are supposed to bounce from the prior of 2.6 to 2.9, and if that happens, we could trigger possibly that rollover play off the slightly more dovish PCE numbers. XLB. Which you had the double play out, and then it just continued to take the absolute dive. What's your target to the downside? What does it, materials falling? It means we're in a slowing economy, especially with home builders and everything else, and construction starts headed down and completions headed down. So the next target for me is 82.37 on this. Any rallies, we also broke below a very key resistance area over the last couple days. See here, we broke down below these very key lows, and we're trading above this peak, which was retested as support back in July. We get to the daily. You can see it here. The prior 2 tops retested in July, and we're closing below that. So again, really pay attention to that 50% harmonic, 82.37. Uranium triggered on the daily already. The little double top triggered on the daily back on Monday. So I'm still going to be patient, waiting for the pullback areas lower, and it is looking like it's going to follow through with a weekly trigger also today. And you can see the pattern really nicely there. So I'd be in short term, more aggressively rallies, watching for rollover plays, and longer term being very, very patient. And we could be back to even reconnecting with the 200 and still make a higher long-term low. Remember, we had the key double bottom off the 200. That played out. And now we're getting the key double top against tried to break out. The breakout came up here twice to test it. Setting up the double, which is now confirmed. Thank you for calling that out, Sterling. All right. Just take a look real quick. That is an ugly bar. By the way, the S&P on the weekly chart is right at the bottom of the weekly rotation zone. So on any sell-off, if we do close below about this 58.70 area, we will go back to neutral mode even on the weekly, which means it's more balanced. Let's take a look at the little price action going into the open. So again, that 50, nothing's changed. 59.25 to 59.35 is the key rollover zone if we do rally. Let's see where the tick opened though. Not a horribly, I mean, it's a weak opening because it opened at about minus 300, testing minus 800. But if the market holds up in here, we'll be watching for the tick bounce and to see if we get any strength in the S&P. Now on the little short-term time frame, I'm going to be watching this low, 58.95.25. If that does not trigger, then I'll be watching the breakout above this 59.10, 59.11 area for a potential retest of 59.25. So that's what, just on the short-term micro stuff, that's what I'll be watching going into the open. Is it time to buy TLT at major support? Personally, for me, did I type it in right? The only thing I'd be looking for on in order for me to look to buy TLT, it would have to take and close about. It would have to follow through with a weekly close above this week's high. Okay, for me, it's testing support, but if we get any more strong inflation data, this thing will continue to roll. And remember, the 10-year, we still have projections that the 10-year could keep running, so the TLTs could keep running lower. Even though TLTs is a 20 to 30 year, we don't generally watch the 20 to 30 year, but the 10-year yield still has a magnet price higher. So would I be looking to aggressively buy the TLTs? No, I would not. And there's not a great bottoming play yet. It's just very oversold. So again, we can get the short-term bounce, but this I'd be watching for rollover plays until we get a stronger bottoming pattern. Richard. All right. With that, I shall talk to everyone on Monday. Have a fantastic, fantastic holiday weekend right before Christmas and Hanukkah starting next week. Isn't Hanukkah the day after Christmas this year? So, big holiday weekend before the major holidays kick off. Hope everyone has a wonderful time celebrating whatever you celebrate and get to spend some time with family and friends. With that, I will talk to everyone later. Bye for now.